Hello everyone, Cerberus here at the gates, bringing you a very special FSW collection. Let's get started. Today we have the nickel. That is what we call the 5-cent piece in Canada. It's actually larger than a dime, which can be confusing because the dime is worth more than a nickel. And starting in 1937 was when the nickel started with the beloved beaver, one of the national animals of Canada. In 1936, the death of King George V. King George V died in 1936, and then King George VI was coronated the 12th of May, 1937. In 1937, there were 4,593,263 nickels minted. In 1937 and on, we have King George VI. King George VI coronated the 12th of May, 1937. And we have the 1937 nickel. And this one's very special because it has a dot at the end of the 7. Dot at the end of the 7. 1937 nickel. Alright, moving on. The 1938 nickel. 1938. See, there's no dot there anymore. 1938. There were 3,898,974 nickels minted. These nickels were minted in 99.9 nickel, and features the beaver now on the tail side instead of the maple leaf from previous years. On the back we have King George VI. King George VI, who succeeded King George V. King George VI. 1938 nickel. 1938. Moving on, we have the 1939. The 1939 nickel. In 1939, there were 5,661,123 nickels minted in 99.9% nickel. And it features the beaver in 1939. On the back, King George VI. King George VI. 1939. 5-cent piece from Canada. 1939. Okay, moving on. Next we have the 1940. The 1940 nickel. In 1940, there were quite a lot of nickels minted. 1940, they minted 13,920,197 nickels. 13 million nickels were minted in 1940. 1940, and it features the King George VI stamp on the back. King George VI. King George VI. 1940, 5-cent piece. Alright, moving on. Next we have the 1942. The 1942. In 1942, there were 6,847,000 544 nickels minted. And these were minted in 99.9% nickel in 1942. 1942. On the back, King George V. King George V, 1942. 5-cent piece. Moving on, a very special piece. A 1943 nickel. 1943. These are very special because these were done in 88% copper, 12% zinc. 88% copper, 12% zinc. These no longer featured a beaver, but instead, these have a V, and the V stands for the victory nickel, and also Roman numerals for number 5, representing the 5-cent piece. This features a flaming torch and a large V that stands for both victory and the coin's denomination. The rim denticles, if you can see the rim denticles, these little dots here, the rim denticles. These were replaced by the phrase, "We win when we work willingly," in Morse code. Morse code is represented in these denticles in the rim. These little dots here. Yes. On the back, 1943 is the King George VI. King George VI stamp. And you can tell that this is 88% copper because it is golden in color compared to the other nickels, which are 99.9% nickel. 1943 victory nickel. And these were the nickels minted in a dodecagon, a 12-sided coin. 12 sides, not round. Moving on. 1944. 1944 still featured the victory nickel, the V with the torch. However, in 1944 and in 1945, they were still minted in 88% copper, 12% zinc, but were chrome-plated in steel. You can see the chrome kind of wearing off a little bit on the sides. The back still with the King George VI stamp. King George VI. Chrome-plated steel. In the 1944 to 1945 versions. Still with the Morse code indentations on the side. Morse code. Morse code for "We win when we work willingly." 1944 nickel. Moving on, the last year of the victory nickel, 1945. 1945 had quite a bit of nickels minted. They made 18,893,216 nickels. And these were made in 88% copper, 12% zinc. 1945, the chrome-plated steel. You can tell the chrome is wearing off a little bit from the copper. You can see the copper showing through there. 1945, with the King George VI stamp on the back. You can see the chrome plating wearing off and the copper showing in the back, the 88% copper showing in the back. The last year of the victory nickel, the V that represents victory, and the denomination of 5 in Roman numerals for 5 cents. Right on. 1946. 1946 kept the dodecagon, the 12-sided coin. And they went back to 99% nickel to mint these coins. 1946. And in 1946, there were 6,952,684 coins minted in 1946, with a King George VI stamp on the back. King George VI, 1946 5-cent piece. Going back to the beaver. Alright, last one on the list for today. 1947. A 1947 nickel. In 1947, the beavered version, there were 7,603,724 coins minted. 7.6 million coins in 99% nickel. And on the back, King George VI. King George VI. 1947 nickel. Right. With the beaver, but still a 12-sided coin. Alright. That concludes today's presentation, and it's time to lock these coins back up and thank you for joining me. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next spread.